Gundam.tk presents Master Gundam and Fuun Saiki. Hey again everybody, Robert184, 2 R's 2 B's from YouTube and Gundam.tk, and the Master Gundam and Fuun Saiki. All the parts are put together. I hope you check out that part of my review, but now it's time to turn this into the awesome mobile fighter that is Master Asia's Master Gundam. When he's all put together, I can't help but be struck at just how amazing these new high-grade 1/144ths are, despite the fact that this is of a smaller MS, well, or MF in this case. And maybe it's because I've been building too many age kits lately, but especially the advanced grade, this would all be one color, but here you're getting tons of color differentiation. The red looks great, so do both blues, and the fact that you get the yellow stickers and the oversized head with the V-fin, and the proper goatee and the white face mask. This guy could not have any more color apps than what you're seeing right here. In terms of articulation, you're going to be able to bring up the front skirts. They're not independent moving. The leg will come up and off to the side. If you bend this skirt up and out of the way, it'll come out about that much and no further. The knees, remember, are going to give you that very nice 180, and the ankles have no problems moving in pretty much any direction. And remember, you can move that blade down there if you wanted to have the leg coming up. So very impressive what you can do with the lower body. In terms of the upper body, you're able to rotate the waist that much. You'll notice that this part stays stationary. The arm is going to go around, no problem there with the giant V-fin on his head. And you can bring it forward, which allows you to bring the arm across. And if you rotated it, you could touch the other arm. The arm is going to give you that 135, and the wrists. They're pretty easy to pull these manipulators out, but you do have a decent range of motion. For the head, you're going to be able to move it forward and back, and it can look up and down, and so far that red part isn't getting in the way. But as impressive as he looks, it's time to get his backpack on. You're just going to plug it in down there and put these parts on either side. And armed up, he's going to fill out in such a way that basically that giant oversized head of his doesn't look disproportionate when you compare it to the wings on the back. You don't have as many options as I thought with the posing, but it certainly fills out, and those yellow stickers, because they're mostly in the background, they don't seem to distract from the overall color scheme of the kit at all. The backpack doesn't have bad mobility, it's just in one area that I'm concerned. First of all, the rotating, you're going to have no problem bringing those up like this. And you'll notice here too that this part is just on a part, so you can move the red part up and down and have it do really ridiculous things if you chose to. The only real disappointment, if you can see that poly cap in there, is that you're able to bend it forward and you can play with these parts, but because it's got to bend in, you're not going to be able to get the wings to go all the way across the body, so that when you look at it from the front, this is about as much as you can get exposed. You're not going to get the completely flat backpack that you may come to expect with something like Strike Freedom or Destiny. Compared to L&B Beardsley in the Nobel Gundam Berserker mode here on the right, of course you could change the legs position if you wanted to, but overall the Master Gundam is just going to look a lot more filled out, even though, as mentioned, these parts here don't swing out as much as you would think. But overall, that big head is certainly going to give it the edge, and I wonder if it's not a little bit disproportionately tall for its 1/144th size. Here's the advanced grade age 1 normal, which is a little bit shorter than its high grade predecessor, and you can see that the Master Gundam just looks to be that much taller, and again, it really shouldn't be. Back to the Universal Century though, and from Gundam Unicorn, it's the high grade Universal Century, Jesta, and this is where you start to see the proper height, that it's just got that centimeter or so on top, and it's filled out, so the Master Gundam can look a little small compared to this mid-era UC suit. G Gundam is all about outlandish poses, and so far all of the HGFC line have been able to pull it off, as you've already seen with the Nobel and God Gundam. The Master is no exception, because you know that Domon is going to get yelled at for something right now. These ankles are proving to be spectacular when you're doing poses, and you'll notice that the wings are brought up a little bit, which allows them just to bend that much more. You can switch the manipulators in and out, but that Master Cloth actually works, except for the fact that the hand that's custom made for it is going to fall apart at the drop of a hat, so you might want to put some glue or sticky putty or something on there. Hard to make a cloth look good, but I think this guy just has the posability to almost pull it off. Again, these ankles are being stupendous. You can get them pretty much anywhere. Those legs have more mobility than I gave them credit for. And if you want to rotate the wings a little bit, you can actually get some pretty dynamic poses. Swap in the manipulator hands there. I'm sure you can think of all sorts of poses. I'm just copying this one from the box, and it's a pale imitation, and yet the Master Gundam comes across as looking very Melee King-ish. You don't want to meet this guy in Gundam Extreme Versus up close. And with the darkness finger on one or two of them, you know, all of his rage is being channeled at a certain former student. And here you have a similar idea, just effect parted. Now with all the things you can do with this guy, you've still got aerial poses, Fuun, Saiki, and it's normal mode, which means you're going to swap off these parts and put him inside this mysterious looking Cloak of Doom. To put this on, you'll basically just take off the wings and then bend those polycaps into place. Take apart this and you'll notice that there's pegs there, small ones up at the top. That will fit on nicely, but it's going to take a little bit of wiggling to get that arm into the channel there, and you'll notice that these tubes are coming through under his armpits. The front part went on with no difficulty whatsoever, and you're just going to cover this side up, and then remember you get the choice as to do with his left arm. There's the blue part in place, which keeps everything nicely together, and if you tuck that arm in, you should be able to just slide this part on here, and everything should lock into place. And if you thought Domon was going to get scolded before, now Master Asia can do it and be impervious to attack, and I have to say, he doesn't look great. It's not something that I'm going to use too often, but just the fact that they went to the trouble to give you all of these extra parts and swap these wings off. These would have been massive to get enough plastic there to cover up the complete body. These parts snap on, everything goes together well. It's not going to be a difficult transformation, so it's something you may use on occasion. And again, just to have these extra parts in the package just shows how far high grades have come recently. To reveal his sinister left hand, basically you can just pop this part off and you have this blue section here which is going to pop off and be placed inside here. Fantastic that they give you the option to store this so that you don't need that Ziploc sticking around. And though they went to the trouble to store that blue part, they don't go to the trouble to store this part, which is the connector piece. So have your Ziploc handy and you plug it in here on the shoulder with the long end down, and that's going to provide just enough distance to put the rest of the arm on. And Toho Fuhai is not somebody that you'd want to be accepting a handshake from here. I'm actually pretty impressed with the way this whole mechanism looks. It doesn't look great the way it is here just because it's a little bit spread out, but because it's on the arm here, you can actually do all sorts of different things with it. You just have to make sure you don't move it too much or it's going to pop off the ball joint, but you have a lot more mobility with it than I expected, so you can have it down and close in or do anything you want. So kudos to Bandai for going to the trouble to put that in, and this 3-panel, 3-panel, 2-panel solution over here, I think works brilliantly. There's so many interesting things that you can do with this guy. He's got as much posability as the Master Grade, it seems, though I haven't built that myself, just the God in Shining. But so far with the playability and just the different options, not to mention this ridiculous normal mode, this is a guy I think you're going to want to have on your shelf. But don't forget to stay tuned for the final verdict where I give all the good and bad, and don't forget Fuun Saiki 2. Anyway everybody, Robert184 gundam.tk, let me know what you think of the video and the model. Always great to hear from you. See you next time. You know, that gives me a pretty good idea on how to use the age system next. You don't even need this one to spin fully into view to know who it is.